What's popping, people? Gosh, I love saying that. Miranda here, and it's probably really obvious by now, but if you haven't watched the episode yet, you probably should before continuing with this video. If you missed the intro to this little slice of content here on the channel, this is the series where we go over trivia and behind-the-scenes notes for characters and events from the series. You'll hear about scrap moments, get clarification on certain things or dialogue, and catch all of the little Easter eggs and references we sprinkled into your viewing experience. Oh, and you should also know that I'll be teasing new characters from the upcoming season in each episode to sweeten the deal. If you can't get enough of the adventures of Aipom, you're in the right place. Hopefully this little world of ours is still as exciting as the first time you found it. Episode 3 is called Hearts of Fire. The boss worked on a project a very long time ago with the same title. One of the more passionate characters of the main cast is a big focus of this episode. It released a day before the boss's birthday and has been re-recorded 3 times over the years. Each and every time the episode has been recorded, the boss lost his voice. In other voice acting related news, Echo and Poton are voiced by the same actor, and their performances returned in over 2 years before the episode was finally pieced together for you all. This episode finally formally introduces the rival character Cable and gives insight to his mindset. As someone who is formulaic, unwilling to change, and steadfast in his beliefs and viewpoint of the world, he initially serves as the foil to the ever-growing and changing Aipom. Did you notice the sleeping dragon talking about working on a variation of the instant transmission technique that allows him to move other people short distances? I wonder if he ever got to use it. Aipom and Cable are said to be around the same resting power in this episode. While it is true, it should be noted that Cable is able to suppress and exert his ki far more efficiently than Aipom. Cable only agreed to help out with training Aipom because he was being paid for it at first, even though he had a genuine dislike for Sane's money talks. The general range of power levels for the Time Patrollers in the Academy falls all the way back to the androids in the original Cell Saga. While they are powerful, there is still room to grow. Cable has the potential to lead the cohort while Aipom's procrastination and slacking holds him back from getting stronger thanks to distractions. This is an observation made by Professor Stain. Teachings from his mysterious father are the reason why Cable is disapproving of Saiyans, while he has distanced himself from the man for other reasons. Those internalized lessons are still deep-rooted and are the reason for Cable to try and prove that he can be stronger through his raw power and training alone. Cable gives Aipom a brutal beating and talks to him harshly in an attempt to make him go Super Saiyan. Even though Aipom matched Cable's power at one point, Cable's experience won him the fight. The nature of Poton and Echo's relationship is slightly hinted at here. Even though Poton is an effective mentor and teacher, she's very dismissive toward her special protege. The sleeping dragon is very polite when talking to Echo and attempts to be inclusive toward her. She remembers these small gestures throughout the series. Echo is excited to talk about Aipom for a few obvious reasons. She has a major crush on him and considers Aipom one of her true friends. They share plenty of interests, including Poton. Poton prefers to train everyone herself because she assumes tough love will work for everyone as it did for her. She sees no one as a hopeless cause, but will routinely take convincing to take on students that will take more of her time. After all, she has important stuff to do. Poton hears the name Cable and pieces together that he is Wire's brother. She is not particularly a fan of Wire, thanks to his smug demeanor and most of his vignettes and messages to the city. As a general mentor to the newer patrollers, Poton has been fairly impartial toward every student in the academy thus far as to not choose favorites. She has, however, already taken up the task of training Echo more closely to bring her up to speed with the rest of her group. It is not going well at this point, despite Echo's best efforts. At the end of the episode, we get to see a fleet that the sleeping dragon sent out to get an update on the captain. You already recognize Hocus and Pocus by now, but the other 2 characters are Topaz and Flute, a cyborg and a native from planet Namek respectively. Want some more trivia? I can't pronounce that word. Leave me alone, it's not real. The boss's neighbors legitimately knocked on his door when recording the final battle cries during Cable and Aipom's clash. Yes, this actually happened and he is very embarrassed about it. The boss voices Aipom, Cable, Udoo, the captain, Geroid, Lusk, and Professor Stain. He has said countless times that his favorite voice to do is Cable's, and for a very long time he disliked Udoo's. I'm going to call him the sleeping dragon because I apparently cannot pronounce that word. Tough titty, you know what I meant. If I'm not mistaken, that was the last of my notes. Alright, kings, queens, everything beyond and in between. This is the part where you stretch those legs and get ready for our bonus content. I'm going to be giving you guys the basic bio for the characters we mentioned earlier in today's episode. That's right, another double feature. Topaz and Flute are our targets for today. When a completely ordinary man with 0 affinity for ki and martial arts was given augmented cybernetic power, Topaz the Phantom was born. Like all cybernetic beings, his power is undetectable by normal means, hence the code name. He is able to keep a cool head and hold his own in many dire situations. Believing that he truly had no purpose before his augmentation, he now uses his enhanced strengths to solidify his position in the resistance as a trusted warrior. All the same, A part of him wishes that he could have achieved his feats through his own work and merit, regretting that he gave up on himself at one point opposed to passing his limitations. It is for this reason that he attempts to mentor as many students as he can when he's back in the city. Ruby and Opal are his quote-unquote sisters, but we won't be going over them just yet. Flute, on the other hand, is a comment about follower of Tato. In his own right, he is capable of performing incredible feats of speed and strength. It's almost ironic that he is a pseudo-pacifist. While he was never a fan of the captain's gung-ho nature, he and a sleeping dragon bonded at the pond several years ago, and for that he's sure that all of his students are worth knowing. As a master of restraint and maintaining a cool head, Flute has proven to be one of the most efficient rescue specialists, opting out of being on the front lines for a more supportive role. He isn't without his quirks, though. Flute is entirely literal and cannot understand figures of speech or nuance in most conversations. It's for that reason that he isn't usually invited to gatherings. Still, his insight and decisive problem-solving has made him a trusted ally, and he is valued greatly as a member of the Resistance. You'll get to know even more about Topaz and Flute when the Adventures of Aipom second season promotional material begins to roll out. I hope that was a good enough teaser for you all. If not, tough titty. I don't get paid enough for my work around here. That's going to wrap up today's video. And if you made it this far, I'd like to ask you a question. Why haven't you hit the like button yet, you freaking whore?
Where have you been? Freaking all